Hey guys, what's happening? We are back with episode 7 of Hey, I'm Playing That, and this is, to be honest with you, one of my favorite games of all time. I would safely say probably in my personal top 25 of all time. I have invested a lot of hours into Gekioh Shooting King, or as it was called in Japan, Shienryu. Shienryu, I hope I'm saying that right, which roughly translates to Purple Flame Dragon. But this game as a 2D vertical scrolling shooter is quite amazing. You have different types of weapons, as you see just now. My ship picked up the blue weapon, which these are called lasers. But before I actually did some research on the game, I just referred to it as chain lightning because that's the kind of effect it has. It sort of dances around the screen, homes in on each one of the enemies. In each one of the weapons has its own sort of perk and drawback. Where the chain lightning doesn't fire as fast, but tends to lock on and do more, I guess, area of effect damage, I guess would be the best way to put it, or AoE damage. While the missiles are missiles, they fire straight forward. They don't have a broad range, but they do a ton of damage. And then the standard leveled up pea shooter type weapon, I guess, would be considered the Vulcan. And once that's leveled up, it's got a pretty wide spread, and it does the best amount of cover damage or area of effect damage. Once it's completely leveled up, it will cover a good portion of the screen, so you can lay waste to enemies fairly quickly. You'll notice in the upper left corner below the score, you have your ship count, and right below that is your P level. Once that's maxed out, you have you get a flashing P power up, which allows you to take one hit of damage before you actually will die, where your ship will actually blow up. And because of that, it offers you, I guess, sort of an opportunity of mistake. On top of the P power-ups, you have the S power-up, which is a fairly self-explanatory. S power-up means speed, and the faster you move, the more you can dance across the screen. That said, however, there are certain levels where the enemies get to be pretty thick, and if you move too fast, you're going to crash into them if you're not careful. I've invested conservatively 1,000 hours into this game over the course of the years. It released in late 2002. At the end of the PlayStation 1's run, they were releasing these games that were quick ports of Japanese shooters, etc. I know Access Games had their A1 line. I know Natsume had a bunch of games that they put out on this budget line. A lot of them launched at $10 or $20. This one I remember came out at $20. The PlayStation 1 port of Soul Divide, I remember came out at like $15, but it's Soul Divide in particular out of those budget titles that came out at the end of the PlayStation 1's run have become fairly uncommon and fairly tough to find. So Soul Divide can fetch upwards of $30, $40 on eBay, and a new copy can go for $60 on Amazon. So some of these budget titles were actually really, really well worth it. I mean, yes, the PlayStation 2 was deep into its run. It had already been out for a little over a year at that point, but because the PlayStation 2 was fully backwards compatible, there were a lot of decent games that still came out for the PS1 that I feel like people may have overlooked, and Gekioh Shooting King is certainly one of them. There's the other one in the A1 Games line. I said Access, that's wrong. I believe it's AgeTech, actually. AgeTech's A1 Games line. They had Starfighter Sandvane and Shooter Space Shot. And man, those are two terrific shooters, as well as Soul Divide. A ported version of Strikers 1945 came out. So there were a lot of really good 2D shooters towards the end of the PlayStation 1's run that, to be honest, were bare bones, simple ports, and, cash grabs to keep some of these smaller companies afloat while they worked on their next project. And Gekioh Shooting King was published by Natsume in the United States. It was developed by Warashi. This original version of Gekioh came out all the way back in 1995, so it's 2016. This game is officially old enough to drink. And I believe there was a arcade version, a Sega Saturn version, and a PlayStation version, as well as now a PlayStation Network version. So if you've still got a PS3 hooked up definitely purchase it. I believe that this is compatible with the PSP, so if that's the case, it would be compatible with the Vita. This is totally worth it. I think it's a $5.99 or $4.99 game on the PlayStation Network. I didn't really do any research, as I have 2 disc-based copies of this game, and I have this streaming off of a PS3, so I didn't really do any research into the PSN version of Gekioh Shooting King. But if you're at all interested in these type of shooters, it is well worth the purchase of the digital version, especially. The physical version is going to be a little bit tougher to track down. I have never seen it at a used game store. So yeah, you might have a bit of trouble tracking it down. But this was Gekioh Shooting King. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you next time.